got DMR for sale.
Lenco?
No. Chinese.
Lencos are Chinese too.
Yeah, but this one has a Chinese name on it.
Oh,
I got out my car because my zero. Go in this time for more than one day or what?
when do you want to be there? Where's Jerry? Oh, he walked out to his car.
I asked him if you guys kicked him out already.
He doesn't like to be on the camera. He'll be back.
I think the camera didn't turn off.
He's in a pretty safe spot over there. Just the two. I probably just shut that TV off.
On these kids' days, might be a bad deal.
It's not like it used to be then.
I don't think so.
This is heavily attended by the kids.
Veterans Day is huge. That's the first day? No, first day.
For a little,
I'll do it before Steve.
yeah, like
Oh, the
flag
gentleman
allegiance
who's
to the code.
He's a pen.
YouTube video, the guy that tweets around. There must be a hundred fattest racket in here, he's eating them hot dogs. Oh, my.
7 o'clock.
And once you start feeding that,
They don't know.
they don't leave.
Welcome, everyone, to the August edition of the Wayne Amateur Radio Club. We're going to kind of dispense with introduction. Well, no, we better do it for Josh's sake. That's right. I was going to say we just have him tell us a little bit. We better do it for his sake. Jerry, you want to start?
Walk right.
Kilo Charlie 8 Hotel Delta Papa, Jerry from Shreve.
Lee?
I'm Lee at 8LK in Worcester.
By the way, there's a quiz at the end. We'll make you last. So,
Okay.
Stan, go ahead.
I'm N-A-R-N-K, Stan, I live here in Worcester.
Aaron, K-E-8-L-V-A,
Aaron is our webmaster.
sure. Kind of master.
Steve?
Steve Penrod, KC8MIW, Kidron area.
Tom.
Secretary.
Tom N.A. JVG, Worcester. I guess I'm the vice president.
You have the most vices of anybody here. That's all.
I have the hope.
The most vices of anyone here. So,
Right.
well, maybe. I'm Eric Mast, WADLM.
Doug Hunter, Kilo Echo 8, Juliet November Hotel.
Bill, last name is Knopf, KN8, WDK, I'm not a novice. Even though it's a novice call sign, and I live in Silverville.
And Josh?
Josh Randolph, K8 BKQ.
And
From Millersburg. Work here in Worcester, so I was interested in coming to check you guys out.
what kind of work do you do?
Warehousing, worker DNS distribution.
Okay. Is that everybody?
Josh took his test last week at our session down at the Justice Center. And obviously passed with flying colors, so. And the FCC got him his call in early, so that is one nice thing. I put apparel on the list again. These are the shirts. I don't know if anybody that wasn't here before. Prices are a little high, I think. We've got a lot of stitching, and that's what kind of runs the price up. About $35 for these shirts, and the hats are $28. I think that's a little steep, but
Everything's steep right now.
yeah, I know.
Maple's cheaper for
But we're not going to do anything, I don't think, on the website. If you're interested, just let me know, and I'll go in order. You can get virtually any color, but I'd kind of like to keep it to maybe just a couple. Like the gray, the other one I have is gray and the blue. And the colors are basically Worcester's school colors. So, kind of stuck with that. I forgot to bring the hat in.
College of Worcester.
And the college, or the college also, yeah. All right, reports. Steve, you want to, well, we don't read the minutes anymore. Does anybody have any questions about the minutes? Did I give you a copy of the minutes? Yes. Okay. All right, we need a motion to approve.
Nice one.
Stan, second. Doug? Any objections? By consensus. Gary Foster, W8GMF, is our treasurer, and he is sequestered because he is having cataract surgery here in a week or two and does not want to take any more chances of getting exposed because it's so hard to get the appointments in that he actually got it moved up about 10 days and doesn't want to take a chance on losing that. So, and we kind of came up with an estimated balance. He wasn't able to get to the bank again because he's sequestered. So estimated balance is $3,285.65.
I'll let it fill up some more. And run for you.
Any questions? Treasurers? We do have the new post office box in Smithville, and that's convenient for me to check. So if there's ever anything in it, which is rare, I let Gary know. And Gary did find our tax ID number. Questions? All right, Doug, you want to talk about the sign?
As some of you know, last year at the Wayne County Fair, we had a tower provided by the Department of Homeland Security. And when I say a tower, it's an elevated observation platform, has cameras in it, windows. The concept is to put somebody up in there and they can look around from an elevated position to see if there's any security or medical type of concern. It was very popular last year with the fair board as well as the sheriff's office. And it was staffed entirely by the amateur radio community. We're going to have that back there again this year. The fair starts on Saturday. It will not be there on Saturday. It will be there Sunday through Thursday. So the list that's going around, take a look at it. If you're interested in being part of that, put your name on there for the dates and times that you're interested in. And really what it amounts to is you check in at the sheriff's command post there. You provide a handheld radio, and then they'll take you and put you up in the unit. You can go up, come down really whenever you want to. It's not, you're not locked into the thing where you have to stay there. It's air conditioned. There's room for 2 people in it comfortably. Usually we just have 1 person up in it. But again, that list is going around, and I want to give the people that are present tonight first crack at it. Then once we see what we have here tonight, then I'll be reaching out to the other club members.
Is there a fee to get into the fair?
Not if you're part of this.
How do we-
If you're on the list for this, I will get you a pass to park and get in for free. So we would not be looking at people that are volunteering to help with this. They have to pay to do either of those things. So once we have the list, I'll get the proper amount of parking passes to make that happen.
Now, this will not be an amateur radio handheld. This will be a Mark's radio, and it's pretty complicated as far as the procedure. Could you explain procedure using?
Well, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail as far as the procedure goes. I'll address, I've got a written instructions for the people that are going to be directly involved. But what happens is it is a Mark's handheld radio, but it's going to operate on a simplex channel direct to the dispatcher there on the grounds. And we also set the tower up with a 2-meter antenna. You guys like to kind of get in there and talk on the repeater and do some of that stuff. But the emergency communication takes place with the Mark's radio to the dispatcher that's there on the ground. And again, I provide the instruction, but there's nothing complicated about what we're asking you. Get the tower, watch for unusual activity, and if you see it, the key to the whole thing is you're not calling in because you see somebody that doesn't have a shirt on or has a dog or something like that. We don't need all those little rinky-dink type things. We're talking about fights, medical problems. Lee picked up on a guy that collapsed behind one of the vendors, potentially saved that person's life. He saw the guy go down and was able to call us. We're not looking for a whole bunch of Karen type things. Serious business is what we're looking for. So it's not, hey, there's some kids running in the Medway. None of that. So that's the one thing that I'm pretty stringent on. We don't want a lot of that kind of stuff.
I was kind of thinking, push the button, wait for the beep, but we don't have to wait for the beep.
There's no beep, but it's a simplex frequency that we're on. Push, talk, repeat is necessary, but not too much.
Any other questions? Nothing for Skywarn, I don't think.
I don't have anything necessary for Skywarn, but I do have some other Aries type
Okay.
information. A couple different things. So we've got that coming on the week of the fair. The 1st of October is a simulated emergency test. That's on a Saturday. And unlike previous years, they don't really have a scenario that you're supposed to follow. They leave it up to the emergency coordinator, which is me, on what to do. So I will come up with what I feel is a realistic situation, and we'll get on the air and do some different things. I've got some ideas in mind that I think people will enjoy. One thing that I would encourage you to do, what I'm not all about on this stuff, I'm not coming up with some type of impossible task. I want people to be successful with what they're able to do. But I also believe that when we say that we're going to respond to emergencies that ask for it, we need to be able to produce and do the things that we say we will. So the FL Digi messages is something that I feel like is a valuable tool. WinLink, valuable tool, as well as just regular voice communication. So if you're maybe a little bit rusty on those types of things, see if you can pick up some speed in between now and then, but it'll all be good. And then that's on October the 1st. On the last weekend of October will be the Worcester Half Marathon. So we'll be involved with that, like we have been actually the past couple of years. Of course, we don't know what other things might unfold between now and then. Those are two kind of significant events for the amateur radio. Like I said, the fair thing, Fair Board asked me about that months and months ago. Hey, are the radio guys coming to protect out? Absolutely, yeah, we'll be here. And the Worcester Police asked me about the half marathon not too long ago. The radio guys will be helping out. Yeah, they will. And of course, the set exercise is sort of an expectation that's going to be here. That's all I know.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Doug?
Comment.
Comment?
I'd like to thank Doug for arranging our meeting last month there at the fire training center. That was pretty awesome. I want that in the record.
Say you do,
Huh?
Does.
you want it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed that myself.
That was great. You missed a good meeting.
We'll start with Josh and pass it on then. I think most everybody was there, right? Dan, were you there? Yeah, I was.
Yeah, Russ was good too.
I know, I wanted to go, but I had the other thing that popped up I had to take care of.
It was a good presentation. Dick Lester did an excellent job.
He did. And I
Rick
told
was
his
very
brother,
proud of that.
told his brother last night, he's gonna relay it to him again, but I told Dick also. But he did a fantastic job. Okay? Anything else? All right, we had a successful VE session last Saturday, and we got a representative from one of the examinees there, now newly licensed. We had 4 new technician licenses, 1 new technician, and then he took his general as an upgrade, and 1 from general to extra upgrade. And I want to thank Stephen Kinford, he's the VE team leader. VE's Jerry Strout, KC8HDP, Aaron Frazier, KE8LVA, Eric Mast, WADLM, Gary Foster, W8GMF, and for registration, and I don't know what else we call it, Bill, WN8WDK, and Sheriff's Deputy Eric Peters, who kind of let us in and made sure that everything was,
How's he doing?
yeah,
Those things.
Is he really?
that's too bad.
There's the COVID test.
You took COVID test.
Ask them that, Bill.
Our webmaster and Fraser, K8LVA, anything you want to say about the server or updates on the website, or
not-
announced?
Not much with the website itself, nothing really changed there, but if anybody ever does want to be part of adding posts, taking care of the calendar, I can get whoever in, teach them what they need to do, and they're welcome to help out with it if they want. The email all did switch to the same server that the website's on now. And the list, the club email list is on there, which most everybody in here has responded to, I think, already. Everything seems to be pretty well with that. There is one, people that have a Microsoft email, so Outlook, MSN Live, and Hotmail, which is 4 people. They've got a block on that IP address right now, which is a lot of times they'll block the whole IP blocks from server centers because spammers will get in and they'll use a server there to send out a bunch of spam. So I've got a ticket opened up with Amazon. Usually Amazon's got to get a hold of Outlook to get them done and block that one. But right now it's Jerry, Scotty, or the other 2, Michael McKay, I think, which we haven't seen him in a while. He might not even want the email.
I've got
And
it right here.
then Lee Flex wife. She was the other one that had an Outlook. So those 4 can't get it unless they've got another email currently. And I guess we could have as many lists as we want. We always could have. We just never really bugged Jason with it too much. If there's other lists the clubs want, I know Sarah's got some general interest lists, but they don't really get a lot of activity. It's possible if we wanted, or executive committee, I think, we can make as many lists as we want on the server. It's pretty easy to add. And then there's some email forwarders that we've already had some set up. We may want to discuss each position having a president at WAWO.org, and it's not an actual mailbox. It just forwards to your email. Typically, it's better to kind of do it that way than when positions change. I just change who that forwards to. That way, people's personal emails aren't getting put into registered as club business, and it can get kind of tricky if that person, whatever, gets upset, doesn't want to give you access to it, or they unexpectedly die or something. With a forwarder, we can forward to somebody else and have a better chance of resetting the password and getting back into club stuff. So that may be something to discuss at some point, whether we want to just kind of implement that across the board or how we want to handle that. And the domains, the domains are still with Jason. Right now we've got .org, .net, .com. .org is the only things that's used. We'll have to decide if we want to keep .net and .com. I don't personally see a point in paying for them every year.
Especially .com, possibly .net.
It's probably good practice that, for a business to scoop all of them up so somebody doesn't buy them and use them against us, but I think the odds of that for us are probably pretty slim.
What does it cost per year?
Probably not a whole lot for them. They all kind of vary a little bit, but I'm gonna say probably somewhere between $5 and $20 per domain. I haven't looked. And Jason is gonna be transferring those over at some point here before they renew, essentially. I would probably take control of them, but likely what we'll do is have one actual club email on like Outlook or Gmail domains are something you kind of want to really protect, because whoever's email that's under owns that domain. And if they want to run away with it, you're basically not getting it without a court order. It's their domain, so having one actual club email somewhere is kind of a good idea for that. But we gotta figure out exactly how we're gonna do that, and we'll transfer the domains to that, so it's in a kind of a club account, not a personal account. Ideally.
Jason McCormick, NADI, is the president of the Sarah, Silver Creek Amateur Radio Association. Their repeater is in Doylestown, and they meet at Finney's in Norton on the 3rd Thursday next week, a week from tonight. It's a large club. They've got like 140 members now, and most of I think everybody that was at the VE session is a member of that club also, and a number of them are members here.
You see us right here.
Most of us, yeah. So, anyway, so that's what he's referring to when he says.
He's been extremely helpful with a lot of things here, as well as if I had questions with my server, him and I chat pretty frequently, so it's very, very helpful.
We have a lot of ties with the club. Okay, that is all I have listed. Anything else that anybody wants to hash over?
I had shared with several of the officers via email about the ARRL, not the news line, the other one. So
Audio, ARRL, audio,
you know what I'm talking about.
yeah.
I don't remember what it's called.
It's kind of like Newsline that's on,
Yeah, so like a podcast would play on the repeater at whatever time that we would see that. It's a weekly situation. Aaron, did you look to see how feasible?
It would run on maybe the Raspberry Pi that's already hooked to the repeater. Could put it on a separate one possibly, but that's almost built into. That part of it is real simple. There would need to be some changes in the controller made, which is also simple if you know what you're doing. I haven't sat down with like Jason myself yet. Gary might know. I'm sure Russ probably does too. Basically, we'd have to change the timeout timer so it doesn't time out while that plays for 10 minutes. Yeah, and we just put a macro in there or on a schedule that shuts the timeout timer off for that and turns it back on afterwards. That's really requires nothing other than a little time, and it could be done at Jason's house and my house, wherever there's internet. You don't even have to make a trip to the repeater site.
I watched or listened rather to the sample that they had, and it was pretty much the same thing that's in the postscript. I think it's postscript, is that what they call it, that comes out? So I personally don't think it's of that much value. I usually don't even listen to Newsline, but Stefan that headed up the VE team does report on that. So that's kind of a big deal.
He records on the news line. I don't know if he does the.
No, he doesn't do the AR, he does the Newsline, I'm sorry.
And when I looked at it, my thoughts were not so much centered around the value to the membership, but more so the exposure to people that might be listening, that would not get that type of information any other way.
The ones that Dan, NABLD always talks about. Yes.
So that's where my thoughts tend to go is there's some activity on the repeater that's perhaps interesting to somebody that would be looking to get involved.
Something else while we're on the repeater topic, I've talked to Gary about it a little bit, and I've been contemplating putting our repeater on Broadcastify, which 3.9's on it. You can get an app and listen to whatever is playing on the repeater. Whether it's a good idea or not, it's easy to do. It's, again, it just runs on the Raspberry Pi that's there. Like, you know, if there's too much dead time, is that a good thing? You know, for somebody looking to be a ham and all these repeaters never have anybody on them or not. You know, the barometer net is going now, and if we got Newsline, I guess that's something we can throw on there. I know that before I had my license, that's what I was listening to, was on Broadcastify 3.9. I think there was another one. So I think there's probably a fair amount of people that do that.
And I can kind of second, I didn't listen on Broadcastify, but I've listened a long time on the scanner. It's just something I want to be part of. And Broadcastify, where I've seen it come into play, is if there's some type of questionable behavior on the repeater, now you have a recording of what it actually said.
Yes, there are archives that you can go in and re-listen to, or I've used them on the Sarah repeater before, listening for some audio issues we were trying to track down to see if it was internet related, repeater related. There's a lot of useful things for it. I guess Doug and I have been talking to Ham Shack Hotline. It's something else. I picked up the phone, was supposed to be at the Sarah meeting last month, but didn't work out. But it's kind of like All-Star, Echo Link, VoIP phones. It's just for hams. You have a little phone in your Ham Shack. You can call other hams on. It's a free service. I'm gonna play with it. It can be linked to the repeater just like Echo Link very easily. Again, with what's in it, you can dial the repeater up on the phone in your shack and sit there and listen and talk on the repeater just like Echo Link. So after we play with it, I guess if people think it's useful, we can tie it in as well. Just something else to play with.
I'll show you Echo Link after. Any questions for Aaron or comments or?
Aaron, were you looking for like approval to buy the Broadcastify?
No, I don't think it costs anything. I would have to get on and set up an account with Broadcastify, but I haven't done any of that yet. I guess if people think it's a good idea, I'll get started on it. I'll wait. Don't make a difference to me. But something I can do sitting at home while I'm bored on the computer.
You have so much free time, so.
I find a lot really late at night. A lot of free time then.
2 to 4 in the morning.
Yes.
Along those lines, this might be a good opportunity or a good moment to discuss the parrot feature. I think that's useful as well. You know, what you hear a lot of when people are talking is, hey, I can get into this repeater or get into that repeater. My interpretation of when they use that phrase is that they're chunking and they hit the repeater, but probably can never communicate with the product. The parrot feature, I'll let you, I can't explain it. Go ahead.
It's just like parrot mode on DMR for those that have had that. Use it a little bit differently, but same idea. You basically just hit the push to talk, dial *85, say a few words. When you release it, the repeater will repeat your audio back to you. And it is. Some people will think it's dumb. Some people will think it's useful, and others might use it once to see what it is and never use it again. But I've heard many nets where the station asks the net control how their audio is, and they say, sounds good, and it's the worst audio you've ever heard. So that's another place for it. I'm one that I like to hear myself. Even on the HF, there's guys that do YouTube Live. You can talk to them over the air and jump on YouTube and hear yourself and make adjustments. So it's always been there. It's another thing that's in that Raspberry Pi. our repeater didn't like to, it used to be star A9, but the repeater doesn't like A's very well, so I just changed it to 85 because it always works. And it's there.
I think it's very useful because there's a difference between getting your chunk back
Yes.
and being able to talk solid into the computer. This lets you see how you sound. I mean, it's not something you're gonna use every day, but with different setups and so
We'll get a new radio, set your mic gain. It's, yeah, I used it a couple times just so I could hear my different radios if I'm quiet or loud. And the audio is not exact, but it's very close enough that it's not going to make a difference.
Difference between unintelligible and intelligible.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the tone's just slightly different because it is going into a computer and coming back out of the computer into the repeater, but it's so close that it'll tell you what you need to know. And the directions for that are on the website, on the repeater page. If you ever, a couple years down the road, think you need to use it but don't remember how, it's there. And you don't have to deactivate it. It's a one-time thing. Each time you use it, you gotta punch in the DTMF tones.
It's only 200.
If you want.
Lost my train of thought. Oh, any strong feelings on the audio podcast being put out over the 2-1? For or
I
against?
guess if it makes a difference to anybody, not that it really does. You have to have an account to go in and listen to the archives. They're just not open to everybody, but making accounts open to everybody, so.
You're talking about the Broadcastify, you're talking about the,
Over
I'm
there,
talking about the
ARRL.
ARRL audio.
Doesn't hurt anything to do it, right?
it's something that can be shut off very easily. If people don't like it, it can be turned off quicker than it was turned on.
Like I say, I'll probably never listen to it, but it doesn't hurt anything, and I certainly don't have anything against it, so.
just, figure out the day and the week and the time.
Yeah, well, scheduling, and the executive committee could do it, or you could.
I don't know if it matters critically,
But to me, before the net just makes sense because people are already going to their radios.
Like
I
they
mean,
do it with Sarah.
Otherwise, what day of the week is people around the radios?
So it would be Wednesday, 8:30, probably, right?
Around
And
that.
that is at 9.
I don't think that one's ever real long.
Before the match.
What's that?
I was telling you that, they run.
Oh, yeah, it's easily off.
I definitely wouldn't run it after the
And
net.
then control it goes above for the run.
The one, the news line runs about 20
Yeah, it'll be-
minutes. So
It'll all be automatic. It'll download it each week and then just play when it's supposed to play.
go to the ARRL website and listen to it. I mean, it's all already on the web. I think the difference, in my opinion, between ARRL Newsline and this is Newsline is very much, and now, and now, it's so animated. This is a little bit more laid back as far as the tone of it. Just
Anything else?
I have one other thing. I should have said something to Jerry about this, but he'll concur, I hope so. Jerry and I take care of the DMR net on Monday nights, the Bolo net. And I just want to make sure that people realize that that's not like an exclusive Jerry and Doug type thing. If there's anybody else that wants to serve as the net control on that, just let us know, and we would be happy to do that. I'd like to see people get involved. So I don't ever want to give the idea, although it seems like I monopolize the meeting sometimes. I want people to have the opportunity to serve the club in different ways. I'm sure Jerry will feel the same. So we alternate every other week, so whatever. Somebody wants to do that.
probably familiar, the DMR requires a different type of radio. It's not the standard analog RF like the other nets are on. Operates similar to what the Mark's radio system does. Only obviously on different frequencies. And the HTs are a lot cheaper. Any other topics that should be brought before the group? Okay, I would entertain a motion for the impeachment of the president.
I second.
Thank you.
Just the-
All in favor?
Not sure we have a quorum of the club members.
Guess the Ohio QSO party's coming up in what, a week or two?
Yeah, a week or
Weeks?
two, I'm not sure. That's a good thing. And get on ARL and you can look up all of the upcoming events. How many did the 13 colonies in here? Anybody else? I know Gary did,
I participated, I didn't get them all.
just the three of us.
I think my antennas were on the ground for that.
And Route 66 is another fun one that's coming up, what, September, I think.
Just counting it.
I didn't take that either, the storm did.
Okay, motion to adjourn? Dan? Lee, second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Well, it's coming up, isn't it?
I've always thought that would be pretty cool, but that would take a pretty serious, organization to actually,
Yeah, no, I'm doing the same.
actually organize that, like, for
Wednesday,
or whatever the one
14th.
is.
10 to 12.
My dad used to call it 30.
Yeah. That's what we call, I still call it 30. Maybe a little less now that we work out.
Because I'm going to be,
East Lincoln Way now.
I call it 30 as well. That's the DNS where you work.
I'm going to be over at Mansfield.
Yeah,
And
but,
get a military
you
ID.
know, the one right behind Smith's Tire.
Can't see it from that far back and see what this says.
How long did you work there?